Usually I'm the one that reads between the lines, but today you're going to do it. And I'm just going to hit you with some numbers. Feel free to fact check them. The Arctic sea ice up in the North Pole area, that's declined 43% since 1971. For the first time in recorded history, the Northern Sea Route, it's this right here, that's now seasonably navigable without icebreakers. Arctic routes are 30 to 50% shorter than the Suez Canal, and Russia has 40 nuclear icebreakers. United States has 0. Actually, I think we just invested in one in Washington, if I'm not mistaken. United States has plans for one. Russia claims that the Northern Sea Route is within its territorial waters and has submitted scientific evidence to prove that based on current international standards. It requires all passing vessels to use Russian pilots, to pay Russian tolls, and to provide advance notice for planning. It's building new Arctic ports and investing in year-round navigation. Cargo volume along the Russian side of the route, or the Russian route rather, has increased 540% since 1980. In 2016, the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman launched Vision 2030. Oil accounts for 43% of the Saudi GDP and 75% of the government revenue. So the IEA projected global peak oil demand around 2030, here in just a few years. Fun fact, that's actually also when the ice is predicted to be fully navigable in the Arctic routes. Saudi Arabia has begun redirecting hundreds of billions of dollars into tourism, into tech, into infrastructure. They're building one of the world's largest airports, a $500 billion megacity, and massively growing their sovereign wealth fund. They've shifted away from some of these projects due to funding issues, but they are still actively diversifying their assets. India is now the world's most populous country and one of its fastest growing economies. Both the United States and China are actively courting India. India has not joined the Western sanctions on Russia. It is a BRICS nation. It increased Russian oil imports after 2022 and actually helps to get some oil and some energy into Europe. It also deepened ties with the United States, with with Gulf states, all at the same time. Every major power in the world needs India. In 2013, China launched the Belt and Road Initiative. It has since invested in infrastructure across 150 or more countries. This is true infrastructure, ports, railroads, actual roads, pipelines. They're creating trade dependencies across Asia, Africa, and Europe using the debt trap that they always use. Over 140 countries have signed on, and China has invested heavily in the Greek port of, I'm going to mispronounce this, Piraeus? I don't know. You'll figure it out. It's the largest port in Eastern Europe, and it is very transparent that its goal is to reduce reliance on the United States' control of the state of Malacca. Again, pronunciation, right? And that it wants to build alternative corridors connecting China to global markets. This is a way to neutralize the sanctions of the West. Then on September 9th, 2023, at the G20 summit in India, in New Delhi, the United States, India, Saudi, UAE, Europe, France, Germany, Italy, they all signed a memorandum of understanding for the IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. This is the opposite of the China Belt and Road Initiative. The goal here is to offset the power of China. China, whose goal is to offset the power of the United States. And then we start striking in the Middle East. This maps from 2024, but the strikes remain the same. The proxy wars remain the same because following the regional escalation, the United States conducts strikes on any Iranian-linked forces across the region. Meanwhile, the Houthis shut down the Red Sea shipping because their children are being starved by Saudi and all of the other Western allies. Dozens of commercial vessels are rerouted through this choke point here between Yemen and Somalia, or Somaliland, as we'll be calling it very, very soon. Sorry, that was an assumption. I just read between the lines. My bad. Because of this, the Suez Canal sees a huge traffic drop, over 50% traffic drop, because over 15% of the global trade normally flows through there, and they are now worried about this pirated area down here. Fearing pirates and increased shipping costs and insurance, shipping companies now reroute around the Cape in South Africa, adding 10 to 14 days and significant costs to every single voyage. Supply chains tighten, insurance premiums shoot up. Iran then indicates that it could close the Strait of Hormuz. A third of the world's liquefied natural gas, 20% of global oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. This impacts the global economy. Now remember, when shipping companies were not able to pass through the Houthi area in Yemen, the Gulf of Aden, they redirected. So what do you think is going to happen when the Strait of Hormuz is shut down? We'll tell you what's happening in the news this week. The call for alternative trade routes is now beginning. Is it beginning? Because remember, it was years ago that we started the IMEC and the BRI trade route. So is it beginning, or was this the plan all along? It doesn't take an expert to read between the lines. It takes somebody who's willing to defragmentize the news, because they give you all of the information, but they put it here and there and up here and over here, and meanwhile you're Googling one individual keyword like Iran. It's not just Iran, it's a system. And the driving cog in the machine is greed and overconsumption. Currently, those who are greedy and overconsume are the global north. That includes my country, the United States of America. On a civilian, citizen level, our greed, our desire to perpetuate this system where we are privileged, where our dollar is privileged, this is the driving force of the machine. To be clear, if it wasn't America, it would simply be someone else, because this is the system. We have to change this system. This system where you're presented options, when in reality, this has been the plan all along. This has been the plan since China first began building the Belt and Road Initiative to offset the sanctions of the United States. This has been United States' plan ever since they figured out that they were going to be losing power. Any emotion that you feel about any country on these corridors, it is manufactured. And it is manufactured to prevent you from being strategic and actually seeing this system and seeing what matters to them. They do not want you fighting for or against the things that matter to them. The clock is ticking, and in fact, it's not the clock is ticking. The ice is melting, and that's your clock. The Arctic trade route is our clock. And we're running late.